Pizza delivery drivers of Reddit, what was the most messed up place you've ever stopped at? I once delivered to a guy living under his porch, if that counts. I drove up to the house. It's pitch black. No lights on. I look at the ticket and it says use back door. I go up the steps and no lights on. Nothing. Then I hear a voice from below me say, "Hey, down here." I look under the porch and there's a small door leading into what looked like a makeshift apartment. I had to actually crouch to get to it. Gave the guy the pizza and bounced the fuck out of there. I worked as a delivery driver for a very small Italian restaurant slash pizzeria during my first semester of college. This one time I delivered pizza to a swingers party. It wasn't like on the set of a porno or anything, he straight up told me when I was like having a party, because he ordered 12 pizzas. He answered that this was his first swingers party and he just wanted to be sure everyone was having a good time. IDK if this counts as fucked up, but it always makes me laugh when I think back to it. I delivered pizza to a house where an older guy walks out in a robe sorta mumbling. I hand him the food, he hands me a 20. I tell him it's 24. He mumbles okay and waddles back into the house, comes back and hands me another 20. I go to my pocket to get change and he slams the door on me. I also once delivered to an older woman who tells me to come in the side door. The food is about $34 and she hands me what I think is 40 and is really sweet, asking me how I'm doing and all that. I get back into my car and realize it's actually $60 and 2 of the 20s were sorta stuck together. I go back into her house to let her know and she says, "Oh, I know, it's for gas and whatever else you might need." I always remember that lady because it was just such a random nice thing to do and really made my day. I didn't end up delivering the pizza, but the address was an abandoned house. It was around dusk and the house was so obviously uninhabited. I could see trees growing through the windows and the backside of the house was crumbling so badly I could see to the backyard from the street. The instructions were to come around back. I double checked the address. After locking my doors, called the customer a couple of times, called the store and told them what was up and why I wasn't delivering the pizza and headed out. I mean, seriously, who would have been dumb enough to go to the back of that house? Edit. Apparently this needs to be said at the beginning. I'm a girl. I was a delivery driver and was working a morning shift. Around 10:30 am I got a delivery to an apartment. Everything seems legit since it's daytime and there are lots of people close by. I knocked on the door and after 30 seconds or so the door opened a few inches and the guy was behind the door, so I only saw his face. Still didn't think it was weird because people do that when they are trying to restrain a dog. He asked me to put the pizza on the stove behind him and he moved back so I could see it was right behind him. I hesitated a second and decided not to do it. Told him I can't enter homes, but I don't mind waiting until he's ready to take the pizza. He asked again, said it's right there, so I gave the same answer, really apologetic, but something wasn't feeling right. I realized later it was how quiet it was. Didn't sound like there was an excited dog back there. So he opened the door wide open and was completely naked. And this guy was at least 60 years old and like 6 feet tall. I tried to hand him the pizza and gave him the total, averting my eyes the whole time. He wouldn't give me the money. He kept asking me to repeat the total and moved into my line of vision. I just took a step back and looked straight up. Eventually he gave me $25 and I'd told everyone at the store, and for an $8 tip and a chance to deck the guy, all the boys that worked there hoped he would order again. The next day he did. When the driver got back he said he had to wait at least 2 minutes, and when the guy answered he was only wearing sweatpants, so he was sure he would do it again to a girl driver, so the guy got blacklisted. I delivered to a drug house a few times. It was always obvious that these guys were selling / using, but it never bothered me as they usually tip well. This one time I got there, rang the bell and a bag, if I'm guessing coke or heroin, I have no idea, slipped under the door. Not sure what to do, I decided to kick it back under the door and leave. Not super fucked up, but I think about it a lot. I delivered subs, but one of our regular clients was an old lady in a nursing home who thought it was 1940s or something. She was super nice, but nobody would deliver to her because she would only tip you like 25 cents because again, she was living way in the past. But I loved to sit and talk with her, so I always volunteered to do it. Sometimes the nurses would pay the tip if they saw me, but usually I only got a quarter. Her delusional state was heartbreaking, She was completely lucid aside from not realizing what year it was. Not really fucked up, but strange and slightly scary to me at the time. In high school I delivered pizza in a pretty bad part of town. One time I had a delivery to an apartment complex that was known for being really ghetto. It seemed like there was a shooting there every other week. I knocked on the door and a woman answered wearing an extremely short leather skirt, a bra, and high heels. Smoke drifted out of the open door, and it smelled like backwoods blunts mixed with a kind of chemically smell that I can't really describe. I told her the price, and she said 1 second, sugar, and walked away. I stood there for about 2 minutes until a giant of a guy finally came to the door. He was probably 6.5 feet tall, and had muscles like LeBron James on steroids. He had on a red bandana, red shoes, no shirt, and jeans that sagged, revealing red boxers. His entire torso was covered in tattoos, many of which appeared to be the same sequence of letters in different styles. I tell him the price, and he pulls a huge roll of bills from his pocket. I'm talking like 3 inches in diameter. The guy took a few seconds to free the mass from his pocket. He takes a rubber band off of it and starts flipping through. He probably flipped through a few dozen hundreds before getting to the 20s. He pulled 2 20s from the roll. The total was like $35 and hands them to me. I asked if he wanted change, and he stared at me for about 30 seconds. I was about to repeat the question, even though he definitely heard me, considering we were about 2 feet apart, and it was silent except for me talking, when he pulls another 20 from the roll and hands it to me. I look at him as disbelief for a second, and then thanked him, and told him to have a good evening. He nodded, shut the door, and I heard about 5 locks being latched. TLDR, Mute Gang affiliated pimp tipped me $25 after I asked if he needed change. On my first day on the job, I had a delivery at a trailer park. I get to this guy's trailer and ring the doorbell. As soon as I rang it, I heard a bunch of movement on the other side of the door, so I know he heard it. However, he didn't open the door. I stood there for about 2 minutes before ringing again. That only made the movement more frantic, but after another 30 seconds or so the door opens. I can very clearly remember what I saw when the door opened. It was an older guy, maybe 50 to 60 years old, and he was quite large, fat kind of large, not muscle. He had on thigh-high black socks, boxers, and that's it. He had paid with card, so I just needed a signature. He signed and I handed over the pizza. I noticed that he put $0 on the tip line and thought, oh well, no tip. A few minutes later, and I was wishing that I was right about the tip. After he signed I started to walk away, but he told me to wait because he has a tip for me. I stay on the porch while he disappears inside. He was gone for almost 5 minutes, and I was considering telling him not to worry about it when he finally came back. In his hand he had a stack of $2 bills. He very slowly took one off the stack and handed it to me. He took so long to extend his arm that I thought it was a strange joke. When I finally got a hold of the bill I thanked him and went to leave, but he told me to wait and then repeated the extraordinarily slow process with the next bill in the stack, and then the next, and the next, and the next. 5 $2 bills in total, taking about 3 to 5 extremely uncomfortable minutes, during which he was staring at me intently. As I was leaving he asked for my name, and I told him it was Alex, which was a lie, because this dude was weird as hell. After that our store occasionally got calls asking if Alex was working, and when we said no the person would just hang up. I'm really glad I didn't give him my real name. GPS led me to my city's hospital. After getting directions from a lot of employees I finally found the room. I'll admit now, I really should have paid more attention to the signs, but was in rush and didn't bother. Luckily there was a nurse already in this lady's room. I was just going to walk in and drop food off when the nurse starts shaking her hands and rushes to me. No, 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 you can't come in here. This is isolation. Oh I'm sorry, she ordered a delivery. She went back in the room and asked the lady if she ordered delivery, and I heard the lady say yes. I overheard the nurse tell her you should have told me. Nurse comes back to me to grab food and told me if I had walked in the room I was not be let back out or something along those lines. Threw me for a loop. Haha. I will pay more attention now. I promise. Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to be entered into our iMac giveaway.